right, good to go. Alright, let's chug some water. Alright, so this is going to be valuable as fuck, Ronnie.
Yes, sir. Let's rip it up.
I'm excited to do this with you, too.
No, me
Because
too.
I've gone through onboarding process with All-Star. Alright, how do we want to fucking pose here?
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that too, because like the chair like lays back. Maybe
could
kind of
do-
like on the edge.
Yeah, I think on the edge is probably best.
Yeah,
Alright.
kind of like that, yeah.
Alright, so I'll get it started with just having you give a little bit of background about yourself, how much you guys have grown, just like a quick 60-second background.
Yeah.
And then we'll just dive straight into value.
Yeah. Let's go back and forth.
All right, so here I've got Ronnie. Ronnie, he is an absolute killer. They went from 0, I believe it was about 12 months ago, to last month of the year in 2024 doing over 1.4 million.
Yep.
Is that right?
Crazy, yeah.
So you go ahead, tell everyone a little bit more about that journey, maybe where you were before and how you guys grew so much so fast.
For sure. So when I was 23, I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I had dropped out of law school at the time because I knew that entrepreneurship was a route that I wanted to take. But instead of signing up for like a 9-to-5, I signed up for a 24/7 in the restaurant industry afterwards. And fast forward 5 years being in that industry, I learned two things. One, that I wasn't in control of my time or my income because COVID had came and rocked the business in 2022, making us go 9 months without income. And I always share the story of how I was at Olive Garden one day, and I was it was month 9 without income. I'm with my wife and my kids. Kids are complaining why we couldn't go to Chuck E. Cheese and went to Olive Garden instead. Stuff was tight back then while you endure 9 months without income. And I remember putting my head down and saying a quick prayer. I'm like, God, if you're listening to me, just please give me a cue. I got home that night and I saw my current upline, Mahmoud Nasser, post about the industry 4 more times. And that's all I needed to see after watching him for almost, I think it was a year, kind of speculative about going into it. This real doesn't work. And then fast forward, that first year didn't really take it serious. It was part-time. Didn't really believe in the business much because I didn't really see it to see the numbers to believe it myself. When I had decided to go in full-time, I saw the numbers. I wrote 81,000 on my own pen. I made 43K. And then from there, that's all I needed to see. I was able to scale my team from damn near 0 to 1.4 million a month. And the best part about this industry is what can be done in that type of speed. In 1 year, you can truly change your life.
Yeah, that's incredible. And what would you say the number one thing is that helped your team grow as quickly as you guys did?
I think number one is consistency and qualifications, right? So whenever we're training or managers are scaling, we make sure that they're qualified to do so. Because I remember when I had got into the industry, man, I looked at all of the reasons why there's a 90% fail out ratio in the industry, right? Or in sales in general. So on our team, we have an 86% persistency rate amongst agents that come in, meaning only 1 out of 10 fail.
Wow.
And the reason that is because we value bringing in quality over quantity. The Playbook agency is not for everybody. We don't want to work with everybody, but we do want to work with the right people. Because I almost look at it as if we're not able to help you and you're not making money, we're actually hurting you, So the biggest thing is putting those qualifications in the people, teaching them how to sell by not telling them to have to buy $2,000 worth of leads a week to start going up. Most people can't do that. It's not duplicatable. And the biggest thing is the common misconception about, the industry is the leads, right? So we want to make sure that the agent is trained before they even get to that level of buying leads. And most people, they're just having people that don't have the skill set come in and buy $2,000 worth of leads a week. Of course, they're going to lose their money and fail out, So we've solved all of those problems that I saw in the industry to be able to get to where we are now, along with all of the great leaders that are in the team as well.
And That's definitely a trend I see amongst a lot of our highest performing clients, and something that honestly a lot of what I do as a recruiter and my entire business is really built around.
Yeah.
And that is something that 99% of businesses don't get to the levels that they want to get to, whether it's, 5 million, 10 million, 20, $100 million a year, because they don't have the right people in the vehicle.
Yeah.
And you can't get to where you want to go without people helping you. It's impossible in most business models. Now, I'm sure there's some where you can, but in most you need someone else's help. And if you can't get the right people to help you, you're going to have a very, very difficult time growing.
It'll be a roller coaster, essentially, Yeah.
So I really want to make this valuable, and what I want to start with is kind of going through the backbone of Ronnie's business, really picking it apart, seeing where his agency is really thriving, where we might be able to make a couple small tweaks and make massive changes in the back end, and how much profitability we're taking home.
Yeah.
And hopefully some of this can be applicable to all the other agency owners and probably other sales teams watching.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is sales. Whether you're in solar or life insurance or pest, it's all the same system, essentially. It's just a different product, So, the biggest thing is for us is, like what you said, the plugging in wherever you need to be better is knowing that you can always be better, and there's always stuff that needs to be solved within your business, and always having that mentality, hey, for example, I have a general, an army general mindset, where I almost label every quarter a title, right? So the one I labeled for quarter one was the calm before the storm. The reason that is because there's a couple tweaks that I need to make that may keep us from going from 2 million a month to 10 if I don't solve them, So you, as a business mindset, you always have to be thinking further ahead and not just now, something I picked up from Alex Hormozi a month and a half ago. He has a saying called nail it and scale it. A lot of time as entrepreneurs, people just want to race off to the mountaintop, It's not how it works, because if you're not equipped enough, the fall down is pretty brutal, you're going to hit the rocks, you're going to hit the nails, you're going to hit the screws. Whatever you're doing in your business, you always have to think in advance, hey, what may stop us from getting to this level down the road? Or what can we do that's costing us a lot of money that we could take it off of our agent's plate and put it over here and take care of that fee to be able to provide more value, So the biggest thing is knowing that you can always get better and not thinking you have the best system in the world, because I will say our system is pretty unique and it's proven, but in my eyes, I don't think it's the best, because I'm always looking to improve, and that's one of the biggest foundations that have helped our agency thrive,
And I could talk about that. I've got a whole YouTube video I'm planning about that. I could talk about that forever. But let's start with where you guys are at now and where you want to go. Yeah. So 5 years from now, where do you guys want to be?
So 5 years from now, I see us doing at least 5 years, because I know what can happen here in a year, right? I know we went from 0 to 1.4. I know this year we'll go from 1.4 to hopefully 8 or 10, God willing. But the biggest thing I would say in 5 years of vision would be to be at least minimum of between 25 to 35 million a month.
Okay.
In production for our team.
Perfect. And there are people that have done that before.
Consistently is the biggest thing.
Oh yeah.
Not just 1 year, but doing it over time,
And continuing to grow, which is something not as many people have done, that's for sure. But there are people who have done it, and people that we can definitely reference as, other examples and points. So 1.4 this year. Now let's break down the numbers behind that. So how many writing agents do we have, and what is the average? Well, actually, let's give people where you're at right now, because I know you guys are a little bit more than 1.4 now.
So we'll finish this month at 1.6, 1.7.
Okay.
The goal for quarter one is to crack 2 million, and then from there we're going to grow 2 million a quarter. So the biggest thing is the biggest part about our team is the writers are actually getting paid, right? So the average IP per agent is 15, 16K a month, which is industry high, And we really do value that, and that's what it allows us to thrive, knowing that the agents are actually getting paid, allows us to progress at a faster rate, because the people that are in the system are actually winning with us, you know? It's not just numbers that, like I almost have, like right now there was 120 riders on the December leaderboard. Like I know 95% of them by name. Like you could give me a face, I'd tell you the name, you know?
Yeah.
So like we value that, you know, having the quality there and the relationships and all that stuff. All of that stuff matters in our team, you know?
So we're sitting at about 120 riders with
211 that are contracted and ready to ride though.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
But that's who's making up the 1.6 right now.
The 120.
Yeah, making up about 1.5 or
Yeah.
15K per month,
Yeah.
16K per month, which is, you know, definitely very above average in the industry.
Yeah.
Now, let's break that down a little bit more. So, net profit, do you know what the average is for those guys after that 15K?
I would say like the average age on the team is making anywhere from 12K to their pocket a month.
Okay, wow. Yeah, that is definitely very
Yeah.
solid. So, do you know maybe like the top 20% and bottom 20% as well?
So I would say like the way I always give like the chart is like the average guy is making 8 to 12K. The good guys are doing like 15 to 18. The great guys are doing like 18 to like 22 range. And then the monsters are making like over 30,000 a month.
Wow.
You know, there's like a handful of them. Just selling, not building.
And a lot of these guys, would you say the majority this is their first sales career?
Yeah.
Okay, wow. And that's the first year because, again, this is only the past year that we're talking about here. So that's first year averages for these guys.
I mean, we had a guy that came from a 9 to 5, like no sales experience, that was our number one rider on the team last year at almost $700,000 his first full-time year. So that tells you like there's no perfect fit for the business or the industry and sales in general. But what it always comes back to, and I always have the saying that it works if you do, you know? That's all it is. All it takes is a work ethic. Like there's nothing special about me. 2 years ago, I had a restaurant where I was flipping pizzas, you know? Like now I'm a multiple seven-figure earner, fast forward after a year into the industry, you know? Like you don't have to have a special or unique power to get to that level and that speed, but you need to have like a consistent work ethic and a bulletproof mindset to get to that level.
And that's the next thing I was going to ask you, so I'm glad you mentioned it there. And we can get into specifics if you want to. I think that'll be more helpful for the viewers trying to understand here. So off that, you know, 1.5 million a month, what is, you know, like someone in your position, the guy who owns, you know, that business, what is he taking home off
You
of
can
that?
expect to take over 6 figures a month to your pocket.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that, how much does that vary? Does like the structure of your business in this industry, you know, drastically change that?
So the best part about our business is like the bonuses, right? And how you get paid. As you continue to grow, your bonus is higher. As you continue to put up more volume, you get paid more overrides. So like the biggest thing is like, as long as you're continuing to grow, like your income continues to grow with you as well. So like the way I look at it, probably from my standpoint, like anything that your team is putting up, like you can expect to see at least 15% of that deposited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So that is definitely
Yeah.
very solid. And that's net, that's after your expenses.
Everything is paid.
Okay.
And here's the thing, we always forget that we're only getting advanced the first 9 months. Like there's still a whole other 3 months. Like imagine like this time in 9 months, I'm getting paid another like $30,000, $40,000 a month from the stuff that was this month, you know, fast forward in 9 months. That's the crazy part, you know?
So right now we're at about net a little over 100, let's say for safe purposes.
Yeah.
If we want to get to 100, you know, long term, but we'll start with 25 because I know we can definitely do even bigger and we got bigger picture ideas. But 25 a month, that would put you at about 2.5 million a month take home.
Yeah.
And, you know, that wouldn't really change drastically as you scale. Like you're, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the goal here. And with that, there's really 4 different levers that you can pull on in sales. You've got, you know, the people that are actually doing the sales. This is the first thing, the most important thing. And the reason this is more important in sales than anything else is because there is one, like Ronnie was mentioning there, a 90% fail out rate in especially commission only sales. Salary is a little bit different, but commission only across the board, you're going to have 90% fail out in the first year. But more importantly than that, It's the differential between the worst person you can hire and the best person that you can hire. And in sales, there's a drastic difference.
Yeah.
Ronnie, think about the worst sales rep you've ever seen in your life. Think about the best sales rep you've ever seen in life. One, how big was the difference between the two? The two, how big was the difference between their income?
So, like, drastic between the income, like, and if you look at what the biggest difference is like, number one is the work ethic, number two could be the ego. Usually it's a mix of both, and if you have those two characteristics, like no work ethic and an ego, like you won't work out here, but in reality, if you look at it, you won't work out anywhere with those two characteristics, so like the difference between somebody that doesn't have a work ethic and has an ego is like they make 4 or 5K a month compared to the guy that's making 40, 50, and that's usually due to the work ethic and the coachability of not having that ego, thinking that they're better than people,
Okay, and that's a 10x differential.
It's huge, yeah.
And you're not going to find that in many levers in your business. I'm telling you, I've been trying to grow my business every single day for the past several years.
Yeah.
And Ronnie has been doing the same in multiple industries.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he can tell you the same thing. You're not going to find that big a lever to pull on in many areas of your business.
You can't. Like, I've seen it. I've done it all. Like, there's nothing like that pays with just turning on a simple switch, bringing in your work ethic and your mindset.
100%. And one thing I'm going to challenge Ronnie on to begin with, because this is the first fundamental, is testing to see if we can push that even further.
Yeah.
Because the spectrum is huge. When you think about how good someone is at something, there are people that are all the way on this side. Think, let's say, for example, I don't know, sales, just for something simple. There are people that have put in probably hundreds of hours in sales without making a single sale. And there are people that have made hundreds of sales in hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
So think about how large that spectrum is. Now, when it comes to your average sales rep and how large that spectrum is, some insight and some context that I want to give you is the 15K is very, very solid, especially in Ronnie's industry here. But there are industries where there are sales reps that are averaging 15K per day.
Yeah.
And that to me means that there's still a lot more to pull on in terms of the driver and the talent that we're bringing into this vehicle. Yeah. And for that, I think we would need to look a lot bigger picture. I think we need to look outside the industry. I think we need to be pulling in, people that are another level of business owner, competitor, people that are going to push the bar past the point of just being, a typical sales rep, but a larger contributor to the business and the organization, a lot more like a, part owner.
Yeah.
So think more like a law firm structure, given you were in law school, where you have, less people and people become partners and, extremely high valuable producers, for lack of a better term, rather than so much, in life insurance, it's really the opposite end of the spectrum. Most people are averaging, probably 5K a month.
3 to 5K a month.
Their models get, thousands, tens of thousands of agents.
Or quantity over quality,
Exactly. So let me just ask you, and where do you think, you could improve in hiring that level of talent and bringing in those types of people that could push the needle even further, the industry even further to unheard of averages?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, like, right now we're focusing on hitting the door-to-door market because, like, what those guys do is work. What we do is not work, Sitting in AC, calling 100, 150 leads a day, like, that's not work compared to what they do. They're walking from 9 to 11 p.m. sometimes, 9 a.m. to like 8 p.m., grinding the doors, getting doors slammed on them. Like, that's grinding, So, like, we're focusing on bringing that type of work ethic into this vehicle. Like, the moon is, like, they're going to go to the moon, Like, the sky's the limit with that type of work ethic. And, like, that's the biggest thing in the industry that you can't teach is the work ethic, Because you have to do it. I can't do it for you. I could teach you all of the skill sets, that I use to write over 81,000 on my personal pen and make 43,000, you know? Like upfront commission after chargebacks and lead spend. But I can't do that work for you. So like the biggest focus is now is like focusing on people that have that type of work ethic but are missing the right vehicle. And the way we do that is like by investing into the business, working with like recruiting companies like you guys, to where you can headhunt those people and not having to manually do it, you know, like outsourcing some stuff, like knowing that you can't do everything on your own, you know, to be able to grow and continue to grow.
Yeah. And with that, just for the audience to get some more context, what do you think that could do to your average? Say everyone you brought into your vehicle from this day forward had a year of experience knocking doors for 8-10 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Yeah. I mean, it would drive up the numbers because those guys know what the grind is like, you know? And like I like guys that come in from door to door because they've seen that type of grind, right? The guys that sign up and didn't have a sales background start selling life insurance, they haven't seen what it's really like to work in an industry that like you're doing everything by foot and not virtually calling people, virtually closing people. So like those guys come in and they've seen like the worst part of sales, which is knocking doors. Then they're able to come in here and just flourish right away, you know?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't see too many more levels to it. There is one more level to it that I am going to challenge you on here, Ronnie, because it is something that I've really only seen done by 2 people in the insurance industry, maybe 3, and they are the biggest names. These are legends in the space and really legends in the sales space.
Yeah.
And that is going an extra layer up and not just bringing on, let's say, people that have that hunger and that desire for sales, but guys like Ronnie, guys that they didn't get into life insurance to just make money. Mm-hmm. They got into life insurance because they wanted a lifestyle business.
Yeah.
They wanted a business that served them.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to online business owners, people that want those types of businesses, there are tons of these talented people in the space in different verticals making tons of money and doing very, very well. But this is coming from someone that has worked across, you know, many different industries and seen the back end of many different products and vehicles. What Ronnie has in insurance is a very, very good vehicle. It's like I would call it a level 3 business. Like if there was a scale from 1 to 10, insurance is like level 3 hard mode. Like you can absolutely crush it in insurance. Ronnie, before, I think what battle tested him so well is he was in probably a level 9 vehicle, which is restaurants and just the service space in general. That is brutal.
That's hard work.
Yeah, talk about hard work. That's absolute nightmare. I can't imagine. So with that guy, I mean, what do you think that could do to your average if you were able to bring in that type of person? Someone that is not just, you know, doing the work with something that was given to them with, you know, other people that are motivating them, other people that are training them, inspiring them, but someone who's out there getting it on their own. Someone who's like Ronnie in his shoes, that's going out of his way to do everything in his power to make himself successful.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing in like other businesses, like I used to think about this when I was in the restaurant industry. Like I used to have like a decent income. I think I was making like $120 a year, like 120,000 a year. I thought that was good at that time, you know, until I came into here. But the biggest thing is like the people that were working with me were not making money, right? So my favorite part about this industry and the reason we've able to strive at the rate that we have is because in this type of system, it's like an open playing field. Like what took me to make 6 months can take the guys to make 2 months, right? Because the playing field is that open and the communication is there. And in the industry in general is just a place where everybody wins, you know, like nobody has the upper hand on anybody. The only thing that separates all of us is work ethic, and having that type of vehicle allows you to grow a lot more than you just being the only one that's making all the money, you know? Like if your clients are not able to make that type of money and you're an online coach, like really reassess what you're doing and be like, am I okay doing this? You know, am I okay making multiple 6 figures a year and these guys are trying to figure out how to make like 50, 60 grand a year by selling like a high ticket sale item that 90% of the time doesn't work or whatever the case is. So like for me, that's what it was. Knowing that I'm in a vehicle that I can teach other people, other leaders, like there's great guys on the team, how I can teach them how to become 7-figure earners as well. Like I know that it's not just me recruiting them, ascending them to the next level and keeping them here so I can stay up here, Like there's enough for everybody to eat in the industry, and that's the best part because our market's so huge,
I love it. And that's where I want to challenge you, Ronnie, and something that I would love to see more of, and we'll talk more about it when it comes to priorities, but kind of my first area of optimization for you is you've got the credibility to go wider than just door to door. And that's something that, we're going to help you with. But bigger picture, you've got the credibility yourself to start helping these other online entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You could be making long format YouTube videos for people that want to get into entrepreneurship or people that are already in entrepreneurship but are looking to make more money from their online business.
Yeah.
And funneling them back to your agency.
Yeah.
Like let's say, for example, you make a YouTube video, the 4 best business models of 2025.
Yeah.
You pick 4 different business models for entry-level people that want to make money as an online business owner. And obviously the best one you're going to, put is insurance.
Yeah.
And as you should, that's your experience.
Yeah.
But imagine you put that up one time, you get views for years of people searching.
Yeah.
What's the best business model to start, 2025? And all those people funnel back to your agency of these guys that are already working hard, doing everything in their power, taking risks. We've got, this kid Tanner that you brought here today. This kid had no experience. I fucking love the balls on him. No experience, never did anything before. The first step into entrepreneurship is buying a 5K course on sales, is getting his feet wet.
Yeah.
And he might not have necessarily gotten what he wanted out of that course, but what he got is what he needed. And what he needed was the perspective as to what he could accomplish in sales. And he only got that because he paid that $5,000. So get more guys like Tanner. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and that's been big for us because like so many people are just missing the right vehicle, and especially knowing that like you said, what's the best business to get into at like a starter level? Like most of us were at that starter level not too long ago. Like everybody now sees the nice stuff, the nice outings, the cars, but like most of us were at that starter level just a few years ago. So like that's the best part, that you can bring in the guys like Tanner and get them to that level where they're in their young 20s making $40,000, $50,000 a month. Like we've got a kid that's 18 or 18 and a 19-year-old in the office that we're able to make like $35,000 within their first 2 months, which is just crazy because it just tells you you just need to be at a start. You can be at a starter level, but you just need that work ethic to go with it. So like getting those guys and getting them paid real quick and showing them that you can do that type of damage with a starter level entry, because all it takes is your work ethic, has like been a huge game changer in our business specifically.
So that's the first area I think we definitely want to tap into further. I think you've got the credibility at this point to be helping these other people. There's millions of kids like Tanner out there dying for something like this. And in Ronnie's position, when you start making the type of money that he's making, it's almost selfish for you not to be doing the thing that is going to be the highest leverage and going to make the widest and largest impact.
Yeah.
Which at this point, I mean, we're going to help you take down these markets, but I think you could carry out a much larger mission over the course of the next 1, 3, 5 years in the space and really pull a lot more people into it that wouldn't have gotten the opportunity otherwise.
Yeah. The biggest thing is, like you said, just continuing to spread that opportunity, whether, our social media team is running social media, you guys are sending out our recruiting ads and bringing in different faces, is like continuously spreading the opportunity. And like, I almost feel like it's not spoken about enough, like when I was in college, I didn't hear about this opportunity. And I wish I would have, but like, that's the biggest thing is some people, they just like have had they had this type of opportunity, like especially in our system, like they would do crazy damage. But most people, they're just missing that right vehicle.
Definitely. And so that's going to be my first thing that Ronnie needs to do. We're going to summarize it. It's going to be posting on social media, regularly, but B, more importantly, I think, is making long format content that is going to educate and provide perspective to the consumer. To provide a specific example in the industry, we'll use Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
We talk about 25 million a month, someone that, accomplished those types of feats and much larger, and the timeline that Ronnie wants to accomplish them. He's a perfect example.
Yeah.
And what did he do? Valuetainment on YouTube. Now he's, pretty much just a YouTuber at this point, or a media guy, whatever you want to call him.
Pretty much.
So that's really the only other area I think you've got to tap into. Everything else, Ronnie has got covered. He's actually doing a fucking he's doing a kick-ass job at really setting the right qualifications and bringing the right people in. And that's something that most people aren't doing to begin with. They're just so desperate to have people and people working for them and, trying to build their business that, they'll take anybody that's willing to do it.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Like, we have a saying that if we can't help them, we won't hurt them, It's like, if we know it's not for you, like, we'll tell you, because it's only the right opportunity for the right people, So, like, we do a really good job at screening to make sure that we continue to work with those right individuals.
And with that, let's take it to onboard, or let's take it to the vehicle, actually. This is where, Ronnie kind of thrives. This is where he really dominates in the market.
Yeah.
And Ronnie, talk to those about your vehicle and just give them a little bit more background in terms of statistics. Like, what KPIs are you looking at? I think, because that's the first thing that most people watching this probably don't even know. And you having an incredible vehicle, coming from my knowledge, what are the KPIs you look at to judge how well is your vehicle performing for, helping your guys accomplish what they want to accomplish?
Yeah, so the biggest way we gauge is by looking at those IP numbers, see what type of numbers they're putting up after month 1, 2, 3. Like, our goal is always to get, our riders to a 40K level after 90 days. There's people in the industry for years that can't get to that level, but with the right training, the right systems in place, we're able to do that. Like, we had a guy that put up, like, I think he'll finish this month at like almost 70,000, not even 2 months into the industry.
Wow.
Which shows you the beauty of the system, right? Like, the training, the leads, it's all there. It's a plug and play system, and all you have to do is come in and plug into it. And for us, that's been able to give us those types of KPIs that are so high, and for the agent to do well early on is having all of that tied into the system,
So that vehicle, let's talk a little bit more about it. What do you think is the number one thing that helps your agents the most? Is it the leads? Is it the actual software that's itself that you guys use? Is it the training and support that they have for how to sell or how to work these leads specifically?
So I would say it's a mix of the training and the leads. I know, like, Tanner's right there. He came from Globe, and they were getting like less than 10 leads a week. Like, people that don't even know what the hell they're calling about, like leads that are sometimes a year or two been ran through. Like, we're able to give the agent enough opportunities to where they can get those people on the phone, and we do that by giving them access to exclusive leads to where they haven't been sold to every agent in the country. Like, you won't even see us post about them. Like, we're not interested in becoming lead vendors because we use that as a tool to help our agents flourish, opposed to other people that I see, like, their name gets big and they start putting their name on the leads and selling them for 40, 50 bucks. Like, we always said we'll never take that route, because that's not our interest, because most people, they miss the big picture. And other than that, it's like the training and the qualifications, like most people, they're having people trained that have been here for a year, but what have they done, Like, if they haven't put up any type of crazy numbers, they shouldn't be training. And that's how we run our trainings, that unless you put up 40, 50, 60K a month, that you're not able to train in front of agents. You have to be qualified to do so, and the way you do so is by selling at a high level. And when you're having brand new agents learn from people that are making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month profit to their pocket, like, they can get a lot further ahead by making fewer mistakes. because we have those trainings almost 4 days out of the week. That's almost a training every single week. If you're counting our team call, that's 5 trainings every week. That's almost one every day. So like that's been a huge game changer, and all of that. The reason we're able to do that is because of the chemistry within our team, right? Nobody thinks that they're better than anybody. Nobody walks around with an ego. Like, we're all one big echo, Like, we're all on the same page. The way we sell is the same way. The way we communicate is the same way. Like, the level of focus and the level of communication and all of that across the board has been able to help us get to that level.
So, breaking down this system a little bit further, let's give the audience a little bit more context.
Yeah.
So, let's say I'm selling your guys' product. How does all of it work? Give me the full background. Like, what is the average sales cycle? When I call a lead, how do I, close them? Is it just like a one call close? Do you schedule an appointment, then close them there? Is there several appointments? How much is the average sale? Give me some more context.
So it's pretty simple, man. A lot of people, they overcomplicate the industry. It's literally script, leads, activity, presentation, closes. It's 5 steps. That's it. And if you look at it, like, what is a daily day look like? We're working from 9 to 7. It's not like a 9 to 5. We do work really hard, and we set that tone for all of our guys so they do the same. So if you look at it, they're calling like on average 100 leads a day, which is like 300 dials. From there, they might be able to present anywhere from 5 to 8 presentations, depending on the skill set of the closer. Some of them are able to close anywhere from 2 to 4 closes a day. The average sale takes about 30 minutes. The average payout is anywhere from, I'd say, like $1,000 to $1,500 a sale. And if the average closer can do that 2 or 3 times a day, you can do the math on that.
Okay, great. Yeah. And so most of your guys right now, it's all same day sales?
One call close only.
Yeah,
call
that's
close,
all you let them do? Perfect. Yeah. Okay, great. So again, this is a vehicle that I was telling you guys about. Ronnie's got a lot of these things dialed in. So with your average sales size, what do you think? Do you think there's any room for improvement in that? Because I know that's kind of standard across the industry. I do have, some clients in the industry that have seen some higher ones, but it is kind of hard to get, from what I know in my context in the industry, at least from what I've seen, get much higher numbers at scale. When we're talking $10 million a month in volume, $20 million a month in volume, doing that across that many agents, it might be hard to get everyone to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 average sales.
Yeah, I mean, we monitor the roster pretty in depth on the agency to make sure that, people that have been here for longer than 90 days are actually making money. So like, we really value that stuff. Like, I spend almost my Monday morning doing that every Monday. And then in regards to like room for improvement, there always is. Like, if you hear anybody ever say, like, I've sat down with people that make $10, $15 million a year and they say there's room for improvement, So if you ever have that mindset where you think that you have it all figured out, there's no room for improvement, like, you're just going to hit like a dead end, Like, even me, like, I'm always picking apart what I'm doing, or like the system, or this needs to get better. This quarter we're going to fix this, because that's how you continue to thrive, And if you don't fix that stuff over time, it'll end up catching up with you, and you'll end up sliding back due to those things that you didn't pay attention to when you were thinking about them a year ago,
Definitely. So with the sales right now, doing, much bigger numbers in terms of averages, per sale. In my experience, running my own business, doing a lot of marketing, the big ways to really pull on that are getting higher qualified consumers, so people with higher incomes that are going to be able to spend more and actually need more. Yeah. Which that's where, doing it with 1,000, 2,000 agents is a lot more difficult. But outside of that, there are other things that can help increasing that average LTV. So for example, I know we were talking about some of these things actually before the pod, and those were doing things to improve customer retention. Yeah. And when you improve customer retention, it typically comes from improving their satisfaction. And when you improve satisfaction, what happens? Well, people want to refer you business. Referrals, yep. People want to buy more things from you. They ask you, what else can you do for them? How else can you help them? And that ultimately builds you a customer for life. Because when it comes to financial solutions and education, the products are abundant. There are a lot of different ones out there and a lot of different things you can use to hedge and minimize risk and all sorts of different things. So is that something you guys are looking at? I know we talked about that at dinner a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. So like, I feel like I know that's one of our categories that we lack in, is like referral-based business. And like, there's little things that, we'll tweak into the script to help get more referrals, but there's always room for improvement. I think that's one of the things. And, like, we were just talking about that. And the way you improve that stuff is just by like, hearing other insights, seeing what people are doing, kind of like what we're working on now in our system.
And specifically, I know we were talking a little bit about, adding maybe other products in the mix too. And, adding some cross sells and things like that could up that LTV and things that we can sell to consumer.
Yeah.
Is that like a strong focus this year? Is that kind of more on the back burner for, once these other priorities get?
I think that's on the back burner for now till we can get to a level to where we are like a dominant force in the industry, and then we'll start thinking of the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is something I would agree with Ronnie there. I do think, there are areas of improvement in the vehicle for sure. There are, again, tons. I could come up with them all day with you. But he's leading the industry in terms of, back-end KPIs. He's definitely in the top 5 percentile from my experience. Yeah. So it's really not that big an area of focus.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing over time is just knowing that there is room for improvement, just keeping a focus for whatever you're doing that year, knowing that over time that it does need to improve.
So let's talk onboarding. Now, onboarding is one I personally have a lot of notes on because I went through this experience with you guys, taking a look at this onboarding system, how it works, how an agent goes through it. And let me tell you, there are definitely some notes that I've got for you guys and some things that I think we can do. And the first of which I was talking to you about last night before dinner, and buy-in. Mm-hmm. And this is something that you don't think about as a problem when you're getting started, because the average level of talent that you're bringing on isn't necessarily the experienced sales guy that's already making 6 or multiple 6 figures. It's someone that's really hungry, needs an opportunity right now because they aren't making nothing. So personally, in my experience going through it, someone that already has an earning and isn't doing it because I'm desperate to make money, one thing I realized that wasn't touched on was raising my buy-in and really drilling in my belief prior to going through that experience instead of so much after, and doing that right before we get started, which you typically would with someone who doesn't have any experience. I would agree with that kind of sequence there. But with the sequencing with someone who does have the experience, I think that's a necessity.
No, 100%. So in regards to like the onboarding, the key for us this quarter is to automate a lot more. And that's the biggest thing, being able to handle bringing in like 50 writers a month like we are now. You don't have a choice but to automate more. And really the key focus for us when the agent comes in is that first 2 weeks. What happens in the onboarding, do this contract, do that, like all of that can be automated, and that's one of our key focuses for this quarter specifically.
So let's break it down a little bit more. Now, out of, let's say, 10 agents we put into our onboarding, how many end up writing their first policy?
So I would say at least 90% of them.
90%? Okay. That is already very good for sure.
Yeah. Anybody that's in onboarding and taking their exam specifically,
So with that, do you know the average timeline on that? Like how long it takes the average person?
Between exam and contracting and writing their first policy? I would say about 10 to 14 days.
10 to 14 days. That is also, again, pretty good. Now, with that process in particular, how much is the lag an issue? And that's something that you're mentioning, you're trying to fix a lot of the automation for bringing these people on so that it's not as much effort in terms of staff and the labor that you have to put in. Is that kind of the big holdup or big bottleneck in the process you feel right now, like just the lag in getting people going from your staff and what it takes from them?
I don't think it's a lag at the moment, but I do think it can get better, And for what we're doing, it works now. Like I know agencies that are at 8 million a month doing what we do now, but my mindset is always like I'm like always thinking ahead of time, like how can we make the process better? How can we make the experience better? Like for example, contracting is one of the most annoying things. Like I had talked to a couple managers that start scaling within the last couple months and asked for opinions. Like, hey, why don't we do the contracting on Zoom in groups? That makes it a lot easier than having the agent send out 5-10 messages. How do I do this part? The next step, like, hey, share your screen. Our admins are on Zoom with you. Like little stuff like that. When you hear feedback, you're always thinking of how can we get better. You implement those little tweaks, and it makes the process a lot easier for the agent.
So that was the first thing that I was going to mention when it comes to areas of improvement that I have for you, Ronnie, is from the experiencing, given that's a big part of what we're going to be doing with recruiting, that was really important to mention. But from an all-around perspective, the biggest area of improvement I have is that I do well.
Yeah.
I would consider myself fairly educated.
Yeah.
That process was extremely confusing. And it was not at all simple. There was so many different steps. I was like,
websites.
It was a nightmare for me. Now, simply the idea that you came up with solves everything.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it reduces the startup time.
Yeah.
Because you know why it takes someone an extra 3 days?
Because
they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
They're waiting on hearing back from your admin when it comes to emailing and texting them for support.
Yeah.
So that could all be fixed within 30 minutes. And
yeah.
I've encountered the same things when it comes to client and employee onboarding. That is something that we really, really try to minimize frequency of communications when it comes to getting someone started, because it's so overwhelming getting started in a new career or getting started with a new service that you really want communication to be as infrequent as possible, because all that creates is friction. Mm-hmm. More friction slows things down, creates more room for problems, and problems, eat at profitability, and so does slow. So that would definitely be the biggest thing I would say is, as soon as someone has gotten that contract, they've gotten, their license approved, boom, we're hopping on a call, next steps. You could finish all those next steps right then and there.
Yeah, right on the spot.
And that way you have them up and writing within the next couple of days.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that I think could definitely help timeline. And again, maybe even that a little bit of those percentage points and that 10% there that isn't going through.
Yeah.
But outside of that, when it comes to the next step in the onboarding process, let's talk a little bit more of the Actually, one thing I would mention as well too here. Actually, we'll save that for after this video. So when it comes to the next 2 weeks, after someone has gotten their license back, they're ready to go, they're with the carriers, they can sell insurance. What does that look like?
So after that, we plug and play you into our trainings. They're announced daily in our group chats, Slacks, emails. We have a newsletter that goes out every Monday morning. And then it's kind of just plugging and playing in the system. For the first 2 weeks, up to a month, we really focus on getting your skill set up to that par to where we hold our standard to, and like making sure that you're going through the script without any hesitation, focusing on the tonality, mastering the first 90 seconds. The numbers objections, like we have like a 6-week training schedule that we gauge our agents with, and like the objective of how many they should be closing. And the reason that is, it gives them like a clear objective and mission every single week to where they can get to that elite level,
So right now, what would you say the average first 30-day revenue and income is for a new agent?
I'd say anywhere from 5 to 8K.
5
while in training, with no lead spend.
Yeah. While training, no lead spend. And with that, around how many hours is that person working?
I would say a minimum of like 9 to 6, 5 days a week.
That same schedule we were talking about.
With
Okay.
Saturdays thrown in there too.
Nice. So I definitely think we could probably ramp that up a little bit. I
Yeah.
think there's some more that we could do there. How much do you think we could do in terms of education about the sales process, like understanding the script, working on their tonality, fixing some of those basic things, and maybe giving them a little bit more confidence going into their first day? How much of that you think we could do before they actually get their license back?
So we do that while they're in the licensing phase.
Nice.
So basically they go through our custom boot camp that's tailored for our agency specifically, and they're learning from people that have sold at high levels, over 500, 600, 700,000 a year. And they're going through that training through that boot camp and then hopping into our live trainings daily. So by the time they're able to actually start selling, they're licensed and contracted, like they know what they're coming into. Like they've heard the script 1,000 times. They've heard the objections and how you get through them. Like they're ready to go by the time they're coming in. They're not just learning something for the first time, you know?
Yeah. So that's great. That's perfect. That's what we want to be doing
Yeah.
here. Now, with the guys that perform in the top 20% in their first 30 days, what do you think that number is first?
The percent that's in that top 20%?
Yeah, what do you think they're writing?
So in our top three, like if you're not putting over 50, 60K a month, you won't touch it.
In their first 30 days?
In their first 30 days, like the top 1% is doing like 40K a month their first month.
Okay, nice. So those guys, what's different about them? What's different about their, like, is it their schedule? Is it the leads? What is it?
So we all run the same leads, you know, it's just a general life lead. So there's nothing magic there because it's not like you can say like, hey, out of the 20,000 leads, these are the 5,000 that we're going to close. It doesn't work that way, you know, but what it comes down to is just like the consistency, number one, their mindset, and number three is the ego, that they're very coachable, you know. So like we had a kid named Omar. He's 19 years old. He wrote almost 65,000, I would say like within his first 45 days. Like on IP leaderboard, like it's been issued and it's been paid. It's not BS. It's been submitted on Slack or Instagram. You know, like it's been issued and paid. Now that kid made like over 30,000 within his first 45 days. Now, if you look at a deep dive of why he's able to put in those numbers, because he's working from 9 to 9 every day, and he's working even on Sundays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And he was able to put 35K profit in his pocket his first month with no sales background.
Okay.
But
so
if
now
you
we're
look
getting to
at
some good
why,
stuff.
it's just the work ethic. That's all it is, you know?
All right. So there's a couple things there that I definitely want to touch
Yeah.
on. One, that proves my first point further in the driver and that there's room for improvement there.
Yeah.
Because if everyone we were bringing in was Omar,
Yeah.
my goodness,
Oh,
how much
man.
money would you be making, Ronnie?
Obnoxious amount.
So with that definitely elaborates on that point. But from there, there's more that you can do. Like people always say, and me as a recruiter, I especially say, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
No.
And that's because I'm trying to sell you the right horse.
Yeah.
But what I don't tell you is that you can change a horse. And it's not easy. But let's say a horse isn't thirsty.
Yeah.
This is something I heard from Alex Ramosi. You leave it out in the sun all day for days on end. Don't give it any water. You dehydrate it. Give it salt. I bet you that horse is going to get thirsty.
Oh, yeah.
So while changing people is very difficult, and I don't recommend it as a recruiter, it costs time, money, and it's not worth it, disclaimer, you can change them.
Yeah.
And so there are ways that you can put people in enough pain, you can bring that out of them. So that is the next thing that I would say. When it comes to tactical, yes, we got to give agents everything in their power, because if we're not giving them everything in the power to make them successful, then it's right for them to blame you.
Yeah.
It's right for them to say, you know, Ronnie's screwing me. He's not giving me everything I need. Because you know what? While they're actually an idiot and they shouldn't be blaming Ronnie, they should be blaming themselves.
Yeah.
They are right.
Yeah.
So that is the first part. But I think what we really need to address in this whole onboarding process, outside of a couple like sequencing tweaks and things that could help speed up our timeline, is drowning out the horse and really starving our horses in that get started process. Like imagine, in that getting started process when they're getting licensed, we amplified their pain, the thing that's going to motivate them. We could do that through talking to them about what drives them, talking to them about these experiences, why they're doing all this, putting a clear goal in mind, getting a clear purpose to when they don't feel like working, when they've worked from 9 to 9 from Monday to Saturday and they got to get up on Sunday and work again. They remember what they're working for. So I think that is definitely one thing that we need to amplify and focus on. But the other part of that is you can put people in pain. It is very hard to do, and you have to be a very good leader.
Yeah.
But you can help people visualize the future. You can help people visualize negative experience and understand what is going to happen if they don't change.
Yeah.
And that is another thing I think we need to work on.
Yeah, so I think transparency is huge. You know, like I always talk to my guys about this, is knowing how to deliver the message properly, because like you said, like putting people into pain and letting them know what the future looks like. If you continue to let the wrong behavior in your business, like over time, it will hurt the overall group, because hey, if this guy can come in at noon, so can I, you know. This guy comes in at noon, so can I, you know. And it continues. So like knowing how to deliver that message early on is super important to your business, because you, over time, the longer you let it play out, the more it hurts your business.
Definitely. But I love that. That's something we're going to talk about in detail. Yeah. We're going to talk about how we can, really put these guys in this pain. I want guys crying before they get started. Because if they're crying, they're working like Omar. Yeah. So we're going to talk more about that in detail, how we can do that tactically. But I do think there's a large percentage change there that we could definitely see by working on that a little bit.
It's applying pressure.
Yeah, you're giving them everything they need at this point. Yeah. Now we just need them to be hungrier. Yeah. Because if they start working on getting the things they need for themselves,
like we do crazy stuff, man. Like we're even handing out $10,000 in March. Like think about that. March Madness bracket, we're handing out $10,000. There's no agency out there that's doing that type of stuff on a yearly level. Like we run multiple competitions, multiple lock-ins, always incentivizing the right behavior to get people hungrier, to perform more. And hey, like they win big at the end of the day. Not only are they making a ton of commission, they're also taking, like, number one in the elite bracket will take home $5,000 that month, on top of all the money they made that month.
Now, this is the last thing that I want to give everyone tactically when it comes to that last point I want to make there with onboarding, which we'll get to the last one in Ascension here momentarily. But to wrap up onboarding, one thing that has really impacted our onboarding process with our employees, this is something I learned from Ray Dalio. You know who he is? He owns a billionaire hedge fund, super successful. He wrote the book Principles, pretty popular. But he has all of his employees take personality assessments when they start working for him.
A DISC assessment.
Yeah, on all four of the major ones. So DISC, Myers-Briggs, there's a couple others that we have in there. I forget the names of them right now. But I'll send you the sheet that we use, and you can use it for your guys. Yeah. But the reason that's super important is because when we're talking about, starving out the horse, this is something that all you guys can do tactically to implement this tomorrow, is if you know what motivates the person that you're working with, you know what drives them, well, then you can tactically do the things that are going to incentivize the proper behavior, like Ronnie was talking about. Yeah. Now, for some people, that's not always money, even salespeople. Yeah. There are salespeople that they've got plenty of money. What they don't have is time to spend with their family. Yeah. There are salespeople that got time to spend with their family, but they ain't got no money.
Yeah. There's always two constraints.
So there are different things that incentivize people without understanding what's going to motivate someone at what time. Well, you could be trying everything in your power to motivate, inspire this person, but it's not going to get the job done if you're trying to, let's say, reel in a shark and you're using a gummy worm as bait. Yeah. So getting into Ascension here, I think we'll wrap up all the points here momentarily, but with Ascension, this is another thing you guys do really well. I think you learn it from Wiley, who we started working with a long time ago, how I met you, how I met a lot of the guys at All-Star, and, his whole agency there. I think, you probably rubbed off a little bit on that from him.
Yeah.
So just tell me about that Ascension process right now. Like, how do you breed leaders? How do you breed the future of the Blueprint?
So the biggest thing is breeding that future is like there's no way around of skipping the trenches, right? Everybody thinks that they could just come in and start recruiting. That's not how it works. So like I always say that you need to master the game of selling before you start teaching others how to do it. Because if you don't know how to do it, you can't teach people how to do it. And if you look at all of the dominant leaders in our group, all of them have sold at a really high level before. So that's the biggest thing, is not skipping the trenches and going through that part, because like if you don't know how to do something, you're not going to teach somebody how to do it. And then number two is duplicating the right behavior. So like unless it all comes back to that behavior, right? Like showing up on time, energetic, putting in the work, not complaining, asking for coaching, being accountable. All of those things are the people that we like to duplicate on our team to make sure that we continue to bring in the right people. And like you could say almost that we qualify them to do so. And the way that is, we meet with them in private groups. There's communication between them and a lot of people at the top in our group, whether it's teaching them how to train properly, how to weed out people properly, whether it's teaching them how to communicate effectively with their team. All of that little stuff like that gets tied into ascending leaders and getting them to that level. Like, when I got into the business, it took me like 8 months to start making 40, 50K a month. Like there's guys on my team, Tanner Mendelson, Dante, that are doing that within their first 4 or 5 months. And the way that is if the communication is continuously passed down correctly, like they can get to that next level and do it in half the time that it took me. And like that's the biggest thing that we really emphasize in helping those guys get there and do it faster than we did it.
So let's get tactical there, because that's something I see a lot of people don't do well.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you enforce that communication gets passed down properly and that people are getting the correct and the proper training across the board, as well as, sometimes the best training isn't a piece of advice, but it's a little kick in the ass.
Yeah, experience.
So how do you do that? How do you tactically provide that?
So I mean, like, we don't overhold hands. Like, I'm not babysitting these guys 24/7, but sometimes the reason that is because I need them to go through that experience, right? Like, had I not went through the experiences that I went through, maybe I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have now. So like a big part of that is just them experiencing that on their own. Like the first time this happens to me, the first time that happens to me, and knowing that they can come back to me and I can show them how to handle that situation properly, But if they don't experience it, they'll never learn and grow from it,
Okay, so the number one takeaway would just be open lines of communication out the gate, letting people fail on their face and letting them, come to you and get help from that failure and, feel okay with messing up or maybe making a mistake or, not getting things right.
100%. Nobody's perfect at the end of the day. I made mistakes along the way, just little stuff, but like you learn from them and you grow from them at the end of the day.
Okay. So outside of that, are there any specific like cadences you guys use for communication in order to keep like routine communication amongst the guys and make sure that they have everything that they need?
Yeah, so you could say we meet up on multiple occasions on a weekly basis to make sure that those guys are getting the right information, and just daily updates through messaging and whatever the case is, just to make sure that we all know what's going on at all times. If something goes down, they hear it first before it gets out. Whatever the case is knowing that the communication is there,
Now, on those regular meetings you guys have, is there like a specific thing that you guys go through every time, like some specific sequence you guys have or something that you guys like to
kind of like
about?
updates on what's going on, like that's the biggest thing. Like, hey, our new CRM just launched. This is how we're going to flow into it the coming weeks. We implemented this in for agents that are in training. What do you all think about that? Does anybody have any feedback? Just making sure that it's an open line of communication, because like in reality of it is, why is the Playbook agency so strong? Because there's there's about 15 to 20 brains that work really well together.
Wow.
It's not just me.
Yeah.
Like everyone might think, because, you know, they always see like the leader of the agency and they're like, oh, it's him. That's not the case. There's about like 15 or 20 guys that we all work really well together. None of us are selfish, and the communication level is there, so we're always thinking and implementing new strategies to help us strive even further.
So I like that. That is a similar style to what I operate with. Something that you don't do that a lot of sales teams do or at least he didn't mention, is like one-on-ones.
Yeah.
And like regular one-on-ones after that initial 6-week training. Is that something that you guys intentionally don't do? Is it just something that you feel like you haven't needed at this point?
So the one-on-ones are there, but it, like, the way I look at it is the people that are selling at a high level, like, the trainings are there for them. You know, the people that are scaling, those are the people that really need more of the attention, how to get guys going, where to find them. Hey, this guy's doing this, that. Like, those are the guys that, you know, we see a lot. And in regards to like the selling, there's like 5 trainings a week. You know, they get all the information they can anytime. And, you know, we have open line of communication, like where this guy may call like our top closer to see what he's doing that's working. But in reality, we're all dialing the same lead type, the same script, like not really much more that you can offer outside of those 5 trainings, you know. But if someone ever calls for like feedback, or I like to text the guys at the end of the month, like, hey man, great month. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with. And that opens that line of communication, you know?
Okay, great. And on that, I think there are probably a couple small tweaks we can make in there. Maybe some more regular. This is something that a company actually Tanner works with does really, really well, but regular kind of like mindset priming meetings and conversations. And
Yeah.
I like how you don't do the one-on-ones right now. I don't believe in that either.
Yeah.
Necessarily. I used to a while ago, but at this point I think it's best for the group to have their performance reviewed together as a group and all learn from each other, because then instead of teaching the same lessons 20 times to 20 different people, you teach them. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's something we've kind of adopted. But with that, the one thing I like to do, at least on like a monthly basis, is kind of more of a vision priming sort of meeting, where it is, you know, reeling things back into the bigger picture. It is getting guys to think a little bit more about the mindset, the big picture, their goals, than rather there's so much just small details they get bogged down with every day, like the, you know, sales training and tactics and closing this way versus that way, and this type of opener versus this type of opener. That's something that I think can definitely be beneficial to do on a, you know, regular but less frequent cadence.
Yeah, I do like that. And you'll notice, like, the bigger the group gets, the harder it is to communicate with just everybody. So there's like little pods of groups that we communicate in groups, you know. So like that's the biggest thing. And then the ones that do need the one-on-ones are usually the ones that are scaling or scaling at a high level, or going through speed bumps that I might have went through, that I can speak to them from experience, you know.
And so that was the next thing that I was going to mention there, is how are you scaling that communication with, you know, the long-term challenges that are presented. And the pods are, you know, exactly what we do. Yeah. We operate the same way. We have, you know, our separate little pods that each, you know, deliver for certain clients, or if they're outside of delivery roles like marketing, we have certain groups for, you know, certain functions of marketing. So I love that. That's definitely something that I would encourage for people as you grow, because it gets very, very challenging communicating across hundreds of people. And that is the biggest challenge of growing a labor-based business, for sure, in my experience.
100%.
Now, outside of that, with the ascension process, there's a ton more I can go through A to Z. But again, this is something Ronnie does really, really well. Something that I think I want to hear more about that you haven't touched on as much, and I think is what the audience really needs, is talk to them a little bit more about how you create loyalty in leaders that grow with the company and buy into the long-term vision. And don't just, you know, you teach them how to sell for a while, they get rich, and then they go move on to somewhere else, but they want to be a part of the blueprint. They want to help you guys grow to that next level. So
the biggest thing is just always like planting the seed and watering it, you know. like highlighting people, showing what this guy's been able to do in this time, you know, and that long-term vision overall, like what's every entrepreneur's overall goal is to get to that 7-figure level, you know, and in this industry specifically, it's very obtainable, and all you have to do is like, in regards to like for whoever I'm mentoring side, you know, is like just be coachable and be willing to learn, and they can get there, you know. So like knowing that they can have the same vision that I had is like the biggest game changer, and just instilling that in them over time, you know. The way you do that is by continuing to water the plant.
Okay. So with that, I do think that long term, the leadership systems, we can get a little bit more tactical as well as you guys scale and as we have more depth and, you know, more leaders to scale it with.
Yeah.
That's going to present challenges as we grow, and they're really not things that we need to solve for right now. So I don't think we really need to optimize those things right now. What I really think are the biggest priorities for you, you know, talking about getting to 10 million, 25 million a month in terms of a function of the business that could be optimized. To give a quick recap, number one, first and foremost, the biggest is going to be the quality and quantity of driver that we're bringing in. So I think we have the ability to really double the size of the business, and maybe the not just size, but if we can double the average performance, that's going to do more than just double the size of your agency.
Within the group too.
Exactly, because that's going to get referrals, the warm market, more people going to leadership. That has massive compounding effects. So I think that is number one. I think the best way that comes through outside of, you know, using more services or companies like me where you can get specific talent that's going to come and plug in and help build big businesses, is you need to start YouTube.
Yeah.
You need to start long format. You need to start doing these specific concepts that people are searching. Go into, you can use any of the SEO tools. Figure out what people are searching for the niche that you're trying to make content around. So let's say it's people that want to build online service businesses or online businesses. They want to make 10, 15, 20K a month. Well, then you make content around that niche. Go ahead, search what these people are looking up in Google, what they're looking up in YouTube, and make your videos answering those questions.
Towards it,
So that would be my first one. The second one, I think this is something that can drastically improve the not just average agent performance, but overall experience, and that's because first impression is everything.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't succeed quickly, not only is it going to make it much more challenging, just because naturally we're going to want to invest less into them because they're becoming a liability, it's less so an opportunity, but they're getting beaten down and they're getting their belief drained in themselves that they're going to be able to figure it out and they're going to be able to succeed. So the quicker they see success and massive success, the quicker they are to have that belief built up and that faith within them.
100%.
So if we are able to create way more pain in the get started process to where these guys come out the gate working 60, 70-hour weeks, and that's the standard. That's the average of what guys do coming into Blueprint.
Yeah.
The top guys, they come in, they work 100-hour weeks.
Yeah.
If we could accomplish that, I think, dude, that makes a really big difference because we can't really quantify it.
Yeah.
Because that first impression, if we 10x your first impression,
it's everything.
Dude, I can't imagine the warm market effects, literally everything. So I'd almost prioritize that over number one, quite frankly. I do think just in terms of like order of operations, you know, number one would be the first you'd want to knock out.
Yeah.
But that, I think, is the biggest difference maker we have on our hands, getting to 10 to 25 million within the next, several years for sure.
Yes, sir. As long as we have you guys on our side, definitely get it done.
Oh, yeah, brother. So outside of that, the onboarding, the ascension, I think there's a couple small tweaks. I think there's a couple things that we could do, especially as we grow. There's going to be more.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, I think tactically, those are the things we need to implement and that we need to work on outside of, Ronnie's already got a number of things on his plate that we're working on fixing and improving. And he's always getting better.
Yeah.
He's, one of the same here. But I think those are things we're going to add to the plate and things that we really need to move up the list because they could make a significant impact.
Small tweaks make a big impact, yeah.
Exactly. So I hope that is going to be valuable to some of you guys. I know it's definitely going to be valuable to Ronnie. This is our game plan, getting to 10, 20, 30. Honestly, I got even bigger numbers in mind, and I think we could do much bigger things.
No, for sure.
The guys that are crazy enough to think that they can do it, these are the guys that do it.
Especially when you combine powers, right?
100%, brother. So, yeah, I think we're good to go. That's a wrap.
Yes, sir. Get further ahead by making fewer mistakes.
Right.